good morning, afternoon, evening, and whatever pertains to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Potential Podcast. I'm the host, Sam, and with me are my two co-hosts, Dan. Say hi, Dan.
Ahoy.
And my other co-host, Rob. Say hi, Rob.
Hello.
And we're here to talk about basically whatever we want to in terms of video games, movies, music, anime, whatever have you, whatever have we. So, to start us off today, we're going to discuss a bit about some of our opinions on some of the recent developments in the game industry, because as much as we love video games, the gaming industry itself can be... Well, how would you describe it, lads?
A bit fickle.
Bit fickle.
A raging dumpster fire.
I like that. So, I think what we'll start off with talking about today, recently, there's been a lot of talk about fan thoughts on EA's handling of the Star Wars license. For those of you who don't know, EA exclusively owns the Star Wars license to produce video games based on Star Wars. Since they have acquired this exclusivity in the rights, they have finished and released, at least not including mobile games, because there have been mobile games, 2 games, that being Star Wars Battlefront 2015 and Star Wars Battlefront 2 in 2017, both of which received lukewarm reception at best, and would have been a lot better if it wasn't for very, very bad business practices ranging from rushing out the game to absurd loot box progression, which actually got the law of a number of countries involved. Now, since all this, people have been wondering what Disney's take on EA's handling has been, and have wanted EA to forego the exclusivity contract and allow other developers to get involved. However, it was recently announced that Disney is perfectly fine. In fact, they are happy with how EA has handled the Star Wars license. What are your thoughts on that, lads?
You can't even say, any bad publicity is still good publicity because people are still talking about it. It's like, this has been unanimously hated by everyone for pretty much every reason they've brought in. And even if you look at it objectively, before EA had the license, there was a more frequent games coming out that were all more highly rated. So I don't understand why Disney are happy with it. I think they just don't want to go through the hassle of saying, right, you can't have it, let's go search for someone else. They're like, it's fine, we're making money either way.
Any thoughts from yourself, Rob?
Oh, it is just a fucking mess, I think, because they have this amazing property with so many potential stories.
It's Star Wars.
It's Star Wars.
It's literally the most well-known media property on the planet.
And they
now, I think that's fair.
They have a row of developers that would leap at the chance to make a fucking game for this series, but because of some perception that narrative-based stories with single-player story mode, blah blah blah, what have you, is not popular or sustainable as a business model. Yeah,
it's very much that, because this is also fairly hot off the heels of the news of I've forgotten which studio it was, but there was an EA studio, or an EA-owned company at least, which was working on a single-player Star Wars title. I can't remember if it was an open world or something.
Was it Visceral?
No, because Visceral's already dead. Visceral was killed a year or two ago after Battlefield Hardline.
Is EA Montreal the thing, or am I making that up?
I don't know. No, you're thinking of BioWare, and it's not BioWare, because that's the other rumor that's recently come up.
Tune in later for that.
Because the other rumor, on top of a cancelled single-player Star Wars title in favor of either a new multiplayer or new mobile games, is that there are apparently BioWare devs who have been very eager to try and make a new Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, one of, I'd argue, the most famous Western RPGs ever made, and probably the most famous Star Wars series ever made, in terms of video games.
Yeah, I'd say that.
And EA apparently have said, no, you're not doing that.
Wasn't that one of the Star Wars games that actually spun off into more things? Like there were comics based on the Old Republic, and there was going to be like a series as well.
It definitely brought the Old Republic was not a new concept, but it definitely brought it far more into the fan mindset again, at the very least, if it wasn't before. And yes, there were books, there were comics, there was all sorts.
If that's the case, then that's me. I didn't know Knights of the Old Republic was a thing until the game, and now when I see all that, I'm like, oh, so the game must be good because it spun off into all of this.
Now, I personally I did play a good chunk of Knights of the Old Republic. I never actually finished it because I ran into some bug where one of the quests, either I wasn't trying to activate it right, or it was one of the companion quests, and it just I get very easily annoyed when main sort of side quests don't work. I do want to go back and actually finish it at some point because I was having a lot of fun. It still holds up very well today, and considering BioWare aren't having as much luck with some of their own properties recently, I'd love them to go back to something like Star Wars, especially considering the original Knights of the Old Republic was, I think, 15 years ago now. I'm pretty sure that came out in 2004.
Yeah, like between 2002 and 2004.
Yeah, and I think of what you could do with that now. Think of using the Frostbite engine to make a Knights of the Old Republic game.
Here's the thing, Sam. Do you want current day BioWare working on any of this? Do you even want semi-recent BioWare? Because I still haven't forgiven them for Sonic Chronicles on the DS.
Okay, that was not where I thought you were going with that.
No, I'm sorry. That game is trash.
I love that game.
No. No, you don't. No one loves that game.
I wasted many hours on that thing.
Did you not hear the soundtrack at all? Because it's not a soundtrack. No, I'm gonna... here's your homework, listeners. Listen to the original version of Diamond Dust Zone from Sonic 3D Blast, and then listen to the remix or butchering in Sonic Chronicles, where instead of it being like do-do-do-do-do, it's just like beep, do-do. It's just that.
I remember that.
I'm not even exaggerating.
I got nothing here. I've never played Sonic Chronicles.
Sonic Chronicles is basically a turn-based RPG, but with touch controls on the DS, and you have to get perfect sequences of touching circles and lines to even have the chance to attack, and then your attack can still miss from RNG. And then there was no, hang on.
Oh dear.
Hang on a second. Right.
This is not where I thought this was going.
No, from this moment I was like, alright, BioWare are probably going to do something crap in the future. And in fairness, they went on to Mass Effect, and that was fine. That was good. Well done for that. But now they're back on Fallout, and it's not going great. So, the story for that is, Sonic and friends all go to, this alternate dimension thing, and they have their whole adventure, and then when they come back, they were like, oh, while we were gone, Eggman took over the world. And then that's the ending. And then, after the credits, Sonic and Tails talk about how great BioWare are. Literally, they're like, man, that was a fun game, Tails, by BioWare. Didn't you enjoy playing it? I sure did, Sonic. I can't wait for BioWare to make even more Sonic games than they never did, because it was really bad.
Here's the thing, when did that game come out, do you know?
2008 or 9.
See, I think BioWare were high off their own success at that point, because you're talking about... Mass Effect was one of the most critically acclaimed games of its age at the time, so was Dragon Age Origins.
Sam, the post-credit scene was, they wrote about how great they are.
No, I get you. I'm not saying that's okay. I'm saying, talking about BioWare, Mass Effect is one of my favorite series of all time. I'm not as into Dragon Age because I've only played Inquisition, but I do like Inquisition. My sister adores Dragon Age. I've watched her play a lot of Dragon Age. And here's the thing, with how, to go on and to come back a bit to talking about EA in terms of BioWare, EA have a history of dumping or killing developers when they seem to have expired their use. And I'm worried that BioWare is heading down that road, because you had the start of it being kind of Mass Effect 3 with the whole controversy of the ending of Mass Effect 3, which I'm not going to get into here because I will literally rant for a solid 2 hours about it.
Yeah, that's right.
Sequel bait.
But that was
they updated it so that the ending was better.
No, I'm not getting. I'm reeling this back. I am reeling this back because I will start and I won't stop.
Sorry,
and
I held back from Sonic Chronicles.
No, that's fine. That was fun. And you had Mass Effect Andromeda, which admittedly I never played, but I did watch a good chunk of gameplay and story, and there was something missing. And of course there's the whole controversy of how broken it was on launch, and how, because of a lot of the controversies around it, they cancelled the single-player DLC that was going to be made for it, which, from what I heard about it, sounded like stuff that actually might have gotten me to buy the game, because it involved a lot of the races I really liked. So you now have BioWare. Their next big thing is supposed to be... I was about to say Dragon Age. It's not. The next big thing is Anthem, which I think this is a nice way to lead into Anthem a wee bit.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Anthem's been having some trouble.
Anthem's been having... I think all three of us have... I haven't seen all of it, but I saw at least the first 3 parts of Critical, a YouTuber that's CR1. Tikal. Actually, no, it's not. He's Penguin Zero now, isn't he? Sorry, Penguin Zero.
If you search the critical, you'll find him.
You'll still find him if you look up the critical way and the way I spelt it.
Or just type in moist, and he'll find it.
But you'll find literally, he's got at least a five-part series, which is literally just entitled "Anthem is Awful," and the first 3 parts, which all came out very close to each other, is all clips from a 6-hour stream he did with friends. And the vast majority of that 6-hour stream was him trying to log on.
There are a few times the longest in that 6-hour period, he did get on eventually after that 6-hour period.
For like 15 minutes, wasn't it?
Like 30 seconds, and then it crashed. But the store worked fine. His friend was able to buy hats perfectly fine.
I completely forgot his friend actually bought something during the stream.
Give us your money!
His friend was like, maybe if I buy a hat, I'll be bumped up in the queue and they'll let me play because I'm giving them more money. And it didn't work in the end. It didn't work.
You wouldn't be surprised. And I know a lot of people are going to say, because I've seen a few things going around, like, well, every game in its beta has, connection issues, every multiplayer game. And I've seen some people even saying that this is actually a problem of internet infrastructure. Something like that. But, no, I'm sorry.
If you're making an online game, work around the infrastructure.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I don't buy that. And I think it's a lot of making excuses for these companies, which every company that launches an online game has issues at the beginning. And maybe that is indicative of there's some kind of internet infrastructure that makes it harder. Maybe. But there's got to be some way to work around that.
Yeah.
I think we're letting off these big companies way too much in an age where they're already getting away with way too much in day one patch culture.
It's kind of funny how people just kind of accept that these big companies just for some reason always underestimate the load that their servers are supposedly going to have, despite the fact that they want to sell these fucking games first day, like, in the millions.
Well, that's not even necessarily true with Anthem, because did you see the other thing that was going around, which was they released it was a table, it was like a spreadsheet explaining the order of release for different purchasers.
Yeah.
Because depending on whether
that was so
there is a different launch day over the course of about a week, depending on whether you pre-ordered it, what version you pre-ordered, whether you played in the beta, whether you're going to buy on the official launch day, which will be after all these other ones. And, like, you can't be serious.
It's like, dude, I just want to play the fucking game.
You should not have to release a spreadsheet explaining to your purchasers, here's when you can play, depending on what version you either have bought or are going to buy.
That's only acceptable if it's, like, different regions, where it's like, oh, in America it comes out on Monday, but Europe gets it on Thursday.
Yeah, regionality I'll accept.
Something like that is fine, but when it's like, oh, if you played the beta, you can play it today, but if you didn't play the beta, but you pre-ordered the deluxe edition, you can play it tomorrow, but if you only ordered the regular edition, you have to wait till Wednesday. It's like, guys, come on.
Just release the game.
Like, it's all early access, guys.
When they tweeted...
Just pay a little more for early access.
No.
I like your response, Dan. No!
Early access is just buy our demo that isn't finished.
Yeah.
Beta test for us. Pay us to beta test.
Yeah, quality control. What's that? Sorry?
I would quality control your game, but I can't seem to log in, and it's been 6 hours.
Ah, that's quality.
And this is all on top of... granted, I did not play in the Anthem beta. I do not have any intention of getting Anthem. I'm not into those kind of games, but...
What's worse is, one of my friends, I was with him, like, 2 days before Anthem released, and he was like, oh, Dan, if you ever heard about this game, Anthem, it looks really cool. You get, like, these robot suits flying around, like, it looks pretty cool. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. And then he sent me the gameplay footage of it, and I was like, oh, this looks okay. Like, nothing, like... He made it sound more amazing than it was, but it seems kind of typical for a genre, but that still could be fun. And then the next day, I go online, and it's just like, don't play Anthem. Dear God, it's terrible. It's like, oh.
I've heard some mixed thoughts. Like, I watched Angry Joe's playthrough of it. Like, he had a lot of connection issues too, but he got on relatively regularly. And overall, he tended to like it. There's some artists I follow on Twitter who are very active in gaming as well, who are also more mixed, but they have their positive points. I've heard especially that one of the cool things about it is the verticality, because you have the flying suits, and and the flight doesn't seem to be that limited, which I thought it would be. I thought it'd be like, oh, you have to have fuel. You want fuel, you have to craft. You want crafting, you gotta go pick this shit.
You gotta buy the deluxe edition.
Gotta buy the deluxe edition. But no, it seems the flying is very freeform and at least like there's not many limitations on it from what I've seen, which that is cool. I mean, it's the same thing that made Monster Hunter 4 such a big jump in Monster Hunter universe, because suddenly, wow, there's verticality because now you can jump on monsters and climb on them and shit like that. But like, that's not enough to me. This still very much just looks like a cash-in attempt on Destiny, and I've played a bit of Destiny and it was fine, but I'm not going to get into any of the I play this every day doing the raids, all that kind of thing. I burnt out on that in my teenage days of playing World of Warcraft. I don't think I'm going to get back into that kind of game.
See, I never had an interest in Destiny, but when it was coming out, all I heard in the advertising was, "Oh, Peter Dinklage is a voice in it," and now all I hear nowadays is, "Oh, they patched out Peter Dinklage."
Yeah, well, that was
like, why did you do that? You've already paid him to do the work.
Well, the thing was, he wasn't well received. I don't think I've even ever.
They paid him to play a floating robot head.
Yeah,
he played a fucking robot.
From everything I've heard, the general reception was he was a bit underwhelming. Maybe he's just not that great a voice actor. Maybe he was given shit direction. Either way, they eventually patched him out and replaced him with Nolan North, because of course they did. Because apparently video gaming only tends to hire 3 voice actors. Yeah, that being Nolan North, Troy Baker, and Jennifer Hale.
Well, Nolan North's a good voice actor.
He is a good voice actor. I don't mean to demean Nolan North. He's a very good voice actor.
He's a very nice man.
Yes. I don't mean to demean him. I'm demeaning the industry, not the man. But the other thing that then spun off in terms of still going back to Anthem was, after all these controversies of the launch issues and things like that, suddenly we're going to expand our store. Here's some skins that cost $20 in a premium $60 game.
No. I'm not going to spend a third of the game's price on a costume.
No,
that's even like in Fortnite, how you can buy different skins and different like taunts. Like, why?
I'll at least even give Fortnite some slack, because
they're good costumes and they're good
selling them
and
for
everything.
like practically a fraction of that price, and they're on a free-to-play platform.
No, so I know that.
Like,
that's all
blah,
fine.
blah, blah.
It's just I never understood the obsession with how kids are like, "Oh, there's a new taunt out, I have to get it."
Oh, fair enough. I
It's
sort of get that
the
aspect.
missing out concept. Like, oh, that person has that thing.
Yeah,
I want that thing.
Because there is an element of
Yes.
limit. There is an element of timed exclusivity, in the sense of, Fortnite has its seasons. You can only unlock things through gameplay during that season. If you don't get them, then you have to wait till they appear in the store and then you can buy them.
Yeah, I'm not knocking Fortnite. It's a decent game.
Oh yeah, like I over on the whole, I've played a bit of Fortnite and I do like it. And overall, I think it's one of the better ways there is, possibly the best currently, to actually have a games as a service model that is not predatory on customers.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
Then to bounce off of that and bounce back over to EA, Apex Venture.
Yeah, I've only heard bits and pieces about this. For those who don't know, because I'm pretty sure I know at least what it is, and please correct me if I'm wrong. Apex Venture it's made by Respawn, the guys who made the Titanfall games.
Yeah.
And this is basically a free-to-play battle royale game set in the Titanfall universe. Am I correct?
Don't know about that, but what they do differently is, rather than building your fucking tower out of materials, it's a class-based hero shooter mixed with battle royale.
Okay.
It's like Team Fortress Battle Royale.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
It kind of looks like a less cartoony Overwatch in some ways.
That doesn't surprise me.
I mean, yeah. So it's like, funny thing about it though is it's being received very well. It's monetization.
It has been, yes.
Like the monetization for it is, yeah, you can buy skins and other little things. Nothing mechanical, just aesthetic. And the funniest part of it is it's basically doing everything right. The one thing the EA has their hands in, they apparently did not have all that much influence on its development. They kind of were very hands off with that.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
Because they had so much focus on Anthem.
Oh, I see.
So the fucking... It's just kind of like, fine, EA, be a publisher. Do not be a fucking developer.
Yeah,
there's a reason you've been voted 4 years in a row the worst company in America.
Yeah, I know. And
Do not be a backseat fucking developer. Let people make fucking games. Just sell them.
And that follows on a bit from... I was mentioning earlier about BioWare and about EA bleeding companies dry. Like, if Anthem doesn't break the bank on expectations, and I'm going to lead into that with a second, then then I think BioWare is potentially in trouble, because Visceral, the developers of Dead Space, went through that cycle where Dead Space was extremely well received. EA tried to popularize it further in the third one by adding things like microtransactions and co-op, which wasn't well received. They then forced Visceral to work on a game in a genre they've never worked on before with Battlefield Hardline, and then after that doesn't meet expectations, they can Visceral. If Anthem doesn't meet expectations, I worry for BioWare. Even though they've announced that they're working on Dragon Age 4 and everyone's really excited about that, I think they're potentially in trouble. And that's going to segue into, well, what classifies as a disappointment in terms of these companies? Well, EA recently went through their largest single-day stock drop, as in stock drop in a single day recently, because Battlefield 5 did not meet sales expectations. It was deemed a disappointment in sales expectations. So what were the sales of Battlefield 5 up to this point? According to the figures, 7.6 million copies sold. And I don't even know if that's digital and retail. That could be just retail, because digital is generally harder to trace. So you're talking a company that one of their biggest games sells 7.6 million copies, and that's disappointing. What the hell is Anthem supposed to do then?
They probably had a target of like 10 million. It's like how Nintendo did something recently where they said, oh, by the end of the fiscal year, which is March, we're going to have 20 million Switches sold total. And everyone was kind of like, alright, that's a bit nuts. You're probably not going to get that. But they're at like...
But Nintendo...
Like they've already reported saying like, oh, it's a disappointment on sales because... we haven't marketed it correctly, which is really just Nintendo's way of saying
we fucked up.
But no, not their way of saying we fucked up. It's their way of saying like, all right, we had a bit of a high expectation, but we're just saying this so our investors think that we can improve it when it's really just a too high of an estimate.
But they are at least admitting to say, yeah, we underestimated. We overestimated. We overshot that a bit.
Which in fairness,
we fucked up a
little.
Not by
a lot. They're at 17 million now.
Yeah, and that's good.
That's really damn good.
But you hit the nail on the head and said, like, they're blaming some on, we didn't market it as well as we should. That's claiming some responsibility for it. EA doesn't do that.
Which in fairness, I think Nintendo did market it as well as it did. It wouldn't have become the fastest selling console in their history if it didn't.
Exactly. Like, 20 million was probably an overshoot, but at the same time, I don't think...
See, like, a lot of people...
Nintendo isn't experiencing their largest single-day stock drop because they didn't meet that expectation.
Yeah, like, Nintendo know what to do with their marketing now, because, like, a lot of people went to, like, into a shop and be like, oh, can I buy this Wii U game? And they're like, alright, yeah. Now, will this play on my Wii? No, it's a different console. Like, even my sister... who, like, was getting a Wii U for her kids, like, asked me, like, where do you buy the tablet for? And, like, oh, it's its own console. And she's like, no, it's not. Like, it is. And then she came to my house and I took out the actual physical system, and it took 20 minutes of me explaining to her, this isn't a Wii, it is a Wii U. This is a Wii. The controller is part of this. It's just a controller. It's not the actual system or peripheral for the Wii. I just didn't get that. But no one is buying a Switch and then suddenly going, oh shit, you can take the controls off and put it in a TV.
I suppose, is that like a problem with Nintendo kind of making a name for themselves as the console developers that make peripherals for all their consoles?
Since the Wii, definitely.
I think it had something to do with... Alright, they didn't call it the Wii 2, they just said, oh, Wii U, and then they only ever showed, like, the tablet. So, like, a lot of parents were like, oh, I thought the U was, like, the tablet.
Yeah. See, that was always a bit alien to me. I always thought, how are people getting confused? At the same time, I was recently looking back at some of the marketing. I get it a bit more. And also, I had to finally acknowledge, like, I'm coming from a perspective of someone who's been super into games and consoles since I was about, 7 years old.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm going to immediately recognize the difference.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I have an aunt who has three sons, and I've done a lot. They're all pretty into video games in some way, shape, or form. And, a lot of the reasons she's known what to get them for certain things or how to for certain things is she's asked me. I get a bit more why it can be confusing.
Yeah, because if you even look at a lot of the advertisement for the Wii U, they use the Wii remote a lot.
Yeah.
I know that controller is used with it, but a lot of parents are going to see, oh look, that's a Wii. I have one of those.
Yeah, I think the one that always stands out in my mind is when I was demonstrating. Like, there was a Wii U sports game that launched with it, and it was like a golf mini game on it where you placed the tablet on the floor, and that was the ball, and used the Wiimote to be the club.
Yeah, and really just seems like that was just Wii Sports Golf, but now you have a tablet on your floor. That doesn't do anything.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So that's the story when it comes to sales expectations from these kind of companies. I'm going to borrow from someone here because I think he always describes it so well. Jim Sterling, who's a YouTuber, in my opinion, always has the best summary of this when it comes to kind of the greed of big game industries when it comes to sales expectations, because this has become the norm, them being disappointed at massive sales. And he always describes it as, for these companies, these public companies with investors and shareholders, it's not enough to make money. If you didn't make all the money, then you're then you're losing. You're failing. It's the same. Activision's gone through a lot of similar stuff with COD because they want every COD in sales and profit to surpass the last one.
Yeah.
But you're eventually going to cap.
Yeah, you never even hear about... I haven't even heard about COD in like 2 years.
Well, like here's the thing: they're still a monster. They still sell millions. They still They're still one of the most profitable game franchises in existence.
There's still millions of people that only have a gaming system to play COD.
Of course, but it's not a feasible business model to expect every COD to like double the profit of the previous one. You're eventually going to stop because guess what? There's a finite number of people and a finite amount of money on the planet.
Yeah, because you're expecting every single person that bought the previous game will buy this one plus new people.
Yeah,
that's just unrealistic.
Like
last year, there's gonna be people that bought it say like, all right, I'll try it. Now it's not for me. I'm not gonna buy the next one.
Yeah, I mean that's eventually what happened to me because I was a COD teenager when I was a young teenager. I from COD 4 until Modern Warfare 3, I bought it every year, and I played it almost religiously. And finally, after Modern Warfare 3, I played it, I enjoyed it, I played a good chunk of multiplayer, and then went, you know what? I'm done. That's me. I think I'm done now. That's my fill.
I got like that with the WWE games as well, where like as they went on, I was just like, all right, this is just the same thing, only this one doesn't have the Hell in a Cell match in it. I'll just go back to playing the last one.
Just releasing the later version, but we took this thing out.
No, like what was it?
Oh, a lot of them did start to become like that.
What was it like? 2K14 had like half the match types that 2K13 had, because at that time WWE were being like, oh, we don't want to put these matches in the game if we're not having those matches recently, because then like kids are going to see like, oh well, this Elimination Chamber looks pretty cool. Oh, but we don't have an Elimination Chamber schedule for this year. It's like, so what? Who cares if you don't? A kid can log onto this streaming network you have and be like, type in Elimination Chamber. Oh look, there's like 12 of them.
Why not just sell them as DLC?
Don't you start that.
Oh, they got worse with the DLC. It used to be, you can buy individual wrestlers or individual like things, and now they're in packs.
Oh yeah.
So like instead of being like, oh, I want this one guy, it's just like, oh, well, I hope you like those 6 other people, and now it's €25. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I remember similar complaints being made about some of the Mortal Kombat games, which originally did single selling characters, and then it's like, nope, you have to buy the pack. Smash Bros was actually really good for that. Smash 4, you could buy packs with a bunch of stuff, or just buy every single thing one at a time. Granted, it started to get a bit expensive because honestly, eventually there was a stupid amount of DLC for Smash 4. I didn't get that. Like a bit ridiculous.
The packs were all like, you get a character, a stage, and then like 9 Mii costumes that you're not going to use. Like,
that was the thing.
I don't want to pay €20 for like a character and stage and a lot of costumes I'm not going to use.
Yeah, that was my problem.
I never even made a Mii character in Smash 4.
Yeah, I never actually ended up buying a lot of the Smash 4 DLC for myself, since I was always playing it whenever we go to uni, go to GameStop and university.
Yeah,
we always play it there.
I'd be doing the same.
So I didn't bother with that so much.
That did make Ultimate better for me though, because I had a lot more newcomers.
Oh, we'll get to that in a wee bit, because I'm gonna just take us on to one or two more topics before we talk a bit about just what we've been up to ourselves and what we may be looking forward to. So, yeah, we ended up focusing a lot on EA. I forgot just how EA focused some of the notes and stories were.
EA are very newsworthy.
They are very newsworthy. This is true. So I think the last topic we'll touch on, just because it's the song that doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. Yay. Is Fallout 76. Fallout 76 released at the end of last year. Was it November or December it released?
I think late November, early
December.
It was.
I think you're right. And wow, I have really never seen a company with so much goodwill in the gaming community lose all of it from one game in so many different ways. For those of you who don't know, Bethesda Studio are the company that publishes and develops the Fallout series. Well, more specifically, it's something like, Bethesda Software develops and then Bethesda Corporation publishes, something like that. And Fallout 76 was the new game in the Fallout series. It was going to be an open world. Sorry, it's not going to be. It is a large open world multiplayer game where every person you meet, like there are no human NPCs. Any person you meet is a player. That was the big tagline. That was the big selling point. This released as possibly one of the buggiest, poorest functioning multiplayer games I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Again, full disclosure, I'm not a big Fallout player. I don't tend to be a massive multiplayer guy anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So I have not played 76 myself, but by God, I've watched a lot of other people playing it.
See, I only played New Vegas, and at least Fallout has always been very glitchy, or very
sure, but
presentation-wise very buggy, and even card modes and that never looked great, and they would flip out sometimes, but nothing to this level.
No, Bethesda's always had a reputation for being a very buggy developer.
Yeah,
which to some extent goes in the line with the style of games they make. They very much focus on very large, very open world games, and yeah, there's some leeway there. But I got to admit, because I was talking a lot about this with my sister when they was releasing, because my sister's never been into Bethesda games. I've never been into many, but I loved Skyrim, and I still really enjoy Skyrim. But having said that, when I was watching all the stuff come out of 76 and everything that was wrong with it, it really had me kind of getting a bit introspective, going did we just let them away with all this stuff? Because it didn't feel like everything was new. It was a lot. It was every possible thing Bethesda's ever done wrong in a game, all in one. And when it was all packaged into one, suddenly everyone's like, oh my God, how have we let them away with this for so long?
See, there's two kinds of Bethesda glitches. There's the ones that they've had up until now, which is oh, that's kind of funny, and it doesn't mess up the game. Someone will post a screenshot of a character whose skin didn't load. They'd be like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But now it's oh, I fell through the floor and now I can't play the game anymore. That's not a good glitch.
Or sorry, Rob, I know you've been trying to get in.
I think the other big problem is, with Fallout 76, they have essentially sold a Fallout game with all the problems that they usually have, but none of the positives that kind of distract people from it. The story, the interacting with an actual world. You're just kind of dumped into a sandbox and expected to make your own way.
Yes, because that's, of course, I can't believe I didn't mention this. That's one of the big problems. Because it's a multiplayer game, what's one of the things you can't normally do in a big multiplayer game? You can't mod it. And modding has generally been the saving grace of Bethesda games. There are problems with the game, but you have this amazing modding community that just comes out of the woodworks, makes these incredible fixes and polishes and all this kind of stuff.
So then, really,
which is not possible in a multiplayer game.
Then, have we really liked Bethesda games, or have we liked what people have turned them into?
I think that's the latter is probably what you're thinking of.
Yeah, because the immediate thing I think of when I think of Skyrim is the mod where the dragon is Thomas the Tank Engine. That's all I think of.
I think I know which one you're going to say.
Macho Man.
Savage.
No, I was thinking of one of the older ones back in the day, which is all the dragons are now Fluttershy.
Oh God,
Yay.
No! Fuck off.
Fluttershy can't slip into a Slim Jim.
Oh yeah!
Oh my God!
You can hear it off in the distance in the opening scene.
Some say that if you listen close, you can hear the dragon. Bones is ready.
Oh man, yeah. It's because my experience with Skyrim was a bit. Because when I first got Skyrim, I originally got it on PC. I got it for Christmas, but it didn't work on my laptop at the time. It seemed to cause my laptop to just crash and die really badly. So I ended up getting it on 360, and I loved it. I really loved it. I was head over heels in love with Skyrim. I played it non-stop. Eventually, I discovered what was wrong with my PC. It actually wasn't Skyrim. It was Skyrim was causing my PC to kick into gear. The fans start going. Turns out the cooling in my laptop wasn't working properly. Eventually I couldn't even play World of Warcraft without it crashing from overheating. So, sent it away, it got fixed, brought it back. Now Skyrim worked, because my laptop didn't overheat and just shut itself down. And it was a long time before I got into modding, but when I did, I couldn't stop. There were so many things you could do, so many little things, this great, amazing quest ends with you getting this legendary bow, which is worse than just something I can make at the smith. Well, that doesn't seem right. Is there a mod that makes it better? Yes, there is. Cool!
Yeah.
You know,
No,
for me, it wasn't even necessarily the big, massive ones. It was a lot of the quality of life things you could get that were really, really well fixed by a lot of mods.
Like, I love when developers embrace the modding community. Like, if you look at A Hat in Time, they specifically have, like, a section of the hub world that's like, oh, this is where you can, like, make and install mods.
That's really cool.
Like, a lot of the mods that are fan creations got put in as, like, official in the DLC. Like, one of the things that was made by a fan was, like, a 64-bit badge where when you wear it, all of the graphics and all the textures and even some of the, like, colors all change to be, like, 64-bit, and it looks really good, like an actual N64 game. Way better than the paid one that we got, or, like, the eventual, like, took a year and a half to make Ukulele one. That was just like, let's just make Yuka a bit of a lighter green and just make everything a bit jagged. Whereas this one was fully, like, just put in as, like, a random, oh yeah, when you buy our DLC you get, like, seven or eight new costumes, and this is one of them.
Yay!
It all came in free.
So, I think we'll cap the discussion of our thoughts on some of the more recent things in the game industry at that. I didn't expect us to end up focusing so much on EA. I guess I didn't realize that a lot of the points I'd made to talk about had been all EA based. It just hadn't occurred to me.
Yeah, they just had a lot. I think your point of Fallout 76 and these kind of games don't have enough to distract us, like, in their core. Like, Fallout 76 doesn't have, like, the story or the gameplay to distract from the glitches as, like, some of their older games would have.
Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely a thing. That is definitely a big problem, I think.
So I'm playing the Spyro Reignited trilogy at the moment, and I've ran into this really weird glitch where, like, what was that?
Oh, really?
He's been playing it too, or at least watching someone play it.
I thought you were like, oh, you have a problem with it, dude. Yeah. Listeners, he, like, just jagged his head back and, like, looked down at me to be like, go ahead, what are you going to say?
You peon.
But, there's this glitch where, like, every time the game loads, it gets louder. Like, just the sound effects.
I saw you mention. Did you mention this on Twitter or?
I mentioned it. I messaged it in a group chat.
It was in a group chat. Yeah.
It was like during the loading screens, when it'll come back for like 5 seconds or so, the sound effects, which I have at like half volume, get really loud. Not the character voices or the music, just the sound effects. And I found it lasts longer depending on the loading screen, because, like, when you're loading into a new world, you'll see, like, Spyro flying. You're just like, oh, you're going to, like, this place, and while you're flying, you can, like, do spins or, like, breathe fire or, like, flap your wings or something. But every time you do one, it gets slightly louder. So, like, if I breathe fire, the second time I breathe fire will be slightly, like, barely noticeably louder than the first time I did. And then if I flap the wings, they'll be louder than the two fires were. Then if I spin, that'll be louder than flapping my wings was. And then when I land, the speakers on my telly have almost blown out. Like, you just hear, like, for sound effects. And my television is actually, like, shook from how loud it gets. And I have it on, like, half volume for the sound effects. But it's only the sound effects, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, this is
and it's like that in... I haven't played the third one yet, but it's like in the first and second one.
This is interesting, because this is a thing I've seen talked a bit about the Spyro trilogy. Well, I don't have it myself. Last time I was at yours, Rob, I actually spent a good chunk of my time playing it, because I never played the Spyro games when I was a kid. I started with a PS2. Actually, the first Spyro game I ever played was Enter the Dragonfly. So that's, yeah,
first one I played was A Hero's Tale.
That's better, at least.
Hero's Tale is like my...
Not much better.
A Hero's Tale is like my favorite bit, like, unironically favorite bit of Spyro, where he comes out of, like, this water well, and there's a mermaid, and she's like, oh wow, a sea dragon, and he's like, oh, I'm not a sea dragon, I'm a fire dragon, and she goes, oh, you look like a sea dragon though, and Spyro turns to the camera and goes, ugh, chicks. It's like, typical women not knowing the difference between water and fire dragons. What's the matter with them?
I don't know if that's a racist joke or a sexist joke.
I don't know.
You know what?
She's making a racist joke,
no.
and then in turn Spyro makes a sexist joke.
Both is good.
Both is good.
But to go back to Reignited, this is because I played a good chunk of Spyro 1 Reignited when I was at yours, and I really liked it. I really liked it. I felt it played well. I felt it looked gorgeous. I liked how it sounded. I liked the designs. I liked the redesigns a lot. this is considering I also played a good chunk of the Insane trilogy at your place.
Oh, God.
And again, I never had a PS1. I never played the original Crash Bandicoot games, and I'm not the biggest platform player either. It's very specific platform games I tend to really like. And yeah, I think you'll speak to the Insane. It was very good at twitching my nerves.
I'd imagine.
Such a slippy game.
Oh, I did not enjoy Insane that much, but I was really enjoying Reignited.
Do you know the main thing with Insane was that they changed the text, like the models on some of the platforms, so that the square ones were now round.
Oh no,
that you would slide off.
I'm aware. Like Cat Icarus has some really good videos analyzing the differences between the Insane and the original. Which, granted, he really likes Insane, and good for him. He loves Crash Bandicoot. I'm not the biggest fan. But Spyro, just the aesthetic and look of Spyro, and I loved dragons when I was a kid. I still love dragons, so everything about Spyro appealed to me more than Crash, and I really enjoyed playing Reignited. But there are a few people I've seen online, a few videos. Again, Cat Icarus has one when he did a review of it, talking about how Reignited on the whole is a really good, remaster or reboot, whatever you want to call it. It's weirdly glitchy in places. I've heard a few people talking about how they encountered various, different glitches for either quests not working, collectibles not working, the controls going weird, the frame rate being weird. Now, of course, this is probably going to depend on where you're playing it as well, certainly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an odd one in that regard. Have you? Because I know you've at least watched Andrew play a good chunk, or or at least played some of it yourself. Have either of you encountered anything like that playing it?
Nothing that's like...
Nothing glitch-wise, but from what I've seen of Cat Icarus video, he said 2 and 3 tend to be worse with that.
I've heard that in general.
And I literally just started 2. I only got about an hour or so in, so I haven't encountered anything yet. But I have noticed the way they change some controls. Like when Spyro is doing his supercharge, he doesn't start at full speed, he accelerates now.
Yeah.
So that makes some jumps harder because you have to get a bigger running start.
Yeah.
And then
there was a lot of talk about that in Spyro 1 with the treetop level.
Yeah, that's the exact
I had to give you some
tips,
gentle guidance.
Yeah, because that was the only level of the ones I played in Spyro 1 that I was starting to get a bit ragey at. I was a bit like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Where the fuck do I go? What the fuck do you do with this jump? This is bullshit.
For me, the worst ones in the Reignited trilogy are the flying stages, because they've made Spyro control a lot stiffer. He turns a lot.
Really? Yeah, that's something I noticed.
When you're flying, he turns a lot slower and a lot wider of an angle. So there are some times where there's a circle of things around a pillar. There's one bit where there's in the flying stage, it's break all the chests, light all the lighthouses, and defeat everyone on a boat, something like that, and you have a certain amount of time to do it.
Was that the one that I did first? That I took 10 tries to get right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Where there's a big pillar, and the pillar has it goes. There's a lighthouse to light here that has a chest, a lighthouse,
wait,
and a chest.
No, I don't think it is. This is one of the other ones. But this was one I had trouble with because I couldn't see the bloody lighthouses. It took me forever to spot the lighthouses.
Yeah. Or to know that those were a thing that you had to...
Yeah,
I didn't know that. It was I beat it, and then, I beat everything except the lighthouse, and they were just flying around for 10 seconds till I died, and it was you didn't light up the lighthouses. Why did I think that I could breathe on that building and it would turn on the lighthouse?
But that's interesting. I didn't know that was one of the control aspects that was different, because again, I never played the original.
Yeah. So with that Spire, in the original, from what I've seen of it, because I looked up to make sure, is this different in this game, or was it always like this? It's in the original you could do one loop around and just Spitfire and lighthouse, chest, lighthouse, chest, boom, and you're gone. But this one I had to do 2 turns around everything, or times where it'd be they're really close together, but just far enough away that I can't get them in one hit. So instead of breathing and then just turning and breathing on the next one, I'd have to breathe fire on that, go up a good bit, do a U-turn, make sure I come back around in time for the camera and get control back, and then breathe fire on it was a bit more of a hassle than it really should have been. And I hear that 2 and 3 have racing stages in that format.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking forward to that, because I do remember Cat Icarus mentioning, and other people as well, Antude mentioning it, that you'll be discouraged from taking the shortcuts because of how wide and tight the turning is to actually reach them.
I think that's all about... that's actually a problem of improved controls and just the advances in technology, because they can now make Spyro move more fluidly and more like an actual thing instead of the rather stocky, sort of rigid movements of the old game.
Yeah.
It means that animations take a little longer in some cases, and that alone can just kind of fuck up an entire run through or something.
See, I should say, on the normal levels, like when he's on the ground, Spyro controls gorgeously. Like, it's so effortless to control him doing anything, and that's why that game is fun. It's just, here's a world, just run around for a bit, and then eventually you'll find everything.
Yeah.
As opposed to Crash, where it's like, get to the end of the stage, which is good in its own right, but...
So is it a little bit kind of the case of, in your opinion, that for some of the potential issues in the Reignited is kind of, because they try to make it so flashy, flary, and animated, it actually comes at a bit of a hindrance at times? Because it's over-animated, essentially, in terms of controls.
Yeah, like them giving it the facelift sort of hurts it mechanically.
That's interesting, because I know another game a lot of people discussed that with from last year, which I've been playing pretty much exclusively whenever I'm back home where my PS4 is Red Dead Redemption 2. And that was another game that got a fair bit of discussion on that kind of thing as well, because Red Dead Redemption 2, first of all, I'm just going to start by saying Red Dead Redemption 1 is one of my favorite games ever made. It's in my top 10 favorite games ever made. I adored that game. I've played through it, I think, from start to finish at least 3 times. I think I've 100%ed it twice. I absolutely adore it. And I'm really, really enjoying Red Dead Redemption 2. But, having said that, it's also a game that does so many strides for realism and accurate animations that it does tend to hurt it at times.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if you watched Scott Falco, the Side of Salt series. He did one on Red Dead Redemption 2, and he's like, the realism just makes everything take longer. He's like, if I'm trying to loot a body in any game, it's click, boom, done. But in this one, it's like, it's going to take me like about 30 seconds, like flip them over, go through each pocket, and then check
and
what's
annoying as well, because this I think possibly the biggest thing I've seen criticized about Red Dead Redemption 2, and I think it's a very fair criticism. Rockstar have not done as much work as they put into this game. They have not done a lot to, in recent years in general, they've not done a lot to advance the level design of their game. When I'm talking level design, I should say mission design would be more accurate when it comes to like story missions.
That's why I didn't like GTA 5. A lot of it was just drive here. Okay. Oh no, that's mission. Well done, you did.
Yeah, I didn't
get to place, pick up thing.
I didn't
hit this person.
See, here's
Good
a mission,
job.
A mission in Vice City. Drive here. All right. So now I'm here. What now? Oh, you've got a photograph of this guy, and you have to assassinate these people that are like at different stages of the city. Like, okay, go and do that. Oh, you've lured the police, and they have like a SWAT team after you. You have to try and evade them so that you can get a good distance away from them to get into this like garage that'll paint your car a different color and then they won't spot you. Grand. That would be like 7 missions in GTA 5 where it's like, oh, drive here. All right, that was 1 mission. Next mission, assassinate all these people. All right, that's that mission done.
Yeah, like, I wasn't as fond of GTA 5 either. I liked it when it came out. I enjoyed playing through it. Every time I think of it again, and I tried playing it again when the PC version came out, I've not enjoyed it as much.
No.
Now, granted, Red Dead Redemption 2 has some of this problem with level design as well. It doesn't tend to annoy me as much as it did in GTA 5, and I think a lot of that is just I way prefer the world in Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm a big sucker for the Wild West and old westerns. I love the aesthetic and style of the game. I like the characters a lot more in Red Dead Redemption 2. Your gang is a really, really interesting bunch of characters who you want to get to know better. You may not necessarily like them. I can think of several characters in the gang I don't like, but they are good characters. They're very interesting characters. Yeah. And the character you play yourself, Arthur Morgan, is a fantastic character.
Oh yeah, he won like an award.
He did. He I think his voice actor won at the Game Awards. And I have to say, while Red Dead Redemption 2, I haven't finished it, but it probably won't be my game of last year. I think that's rightly deserved because I went in thinking, this game can't... Arthur's not going to entice me as much as John Marston did in Red Dead Redemption 1. He's not going to. No
Especially
way.
if John Marston's there.
Yeah, no way. I'm going to be sitting there going, God, I wish I was playing as John Marston. No, I'm going to say Arthur's a better main character than John. I love Arthur. I just love him. And I love that he is a set character. Like, he's not a blank slate for the player. But his character is such that you can play him either as kind of a good-hearted rogue or a mass murderer, and it still fits. Whereas with John Marston Red Dead 1, as much as I love it, I will admit, if you play John as a psychopathic, bank-robbing serial killer, it doesn't really fit the plot of the game. It doesn't really fit why he's out
that's what I like to call the Tomb Raider problem.
Yeah.
Like, 2013, Lara gets, like, pressed up against a wall by this guy, and then she, like, slices him up and kills him, and then she gets down on her knees and cries and like physically gets sick, and it was just like that was the most horrible experience of my life. And then you kill like 8 people within a minute.
Yeah, you're immediately shooting people with the gun.
Immediately after that. And then later she's just like, I don't want to kill you, I don't like doing that. It's like, excuse me, I've killed how many people on the way up here, but you don't kill him just because he's a named character.
I have walked through rooms and spilt more blood than any man, and yet you are the one I have umbrage with.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's little things in Red Dead as well, little things you can do that just help you be the kind of character you want. Like, if someone is just an ass to you in Red Dead Redemption 1, your only real option was to shoot them if you didn't like it.
Yeah.
Whereas in Red Dead Redemption 2, there's actual functionality to socialize with people. So someone shouts at you, berates you, you can turn around to them and say, oh yeah, well screw you, asshole. That was a terrible accent. You know, there's more to that. And those kind of slice of life things are really cool. And even on top of talking about the kind of realism of it, it is weird how many things in the game are so mundane, but I loved doing.
Oh, yeah.
There's a mission where you basically go, Arthur takes an old love of his on a date. And the date is, you sit and watch a vaudeville show. That's it. You watch the whole thing. And I wasn't bored. I wasn't sitting there going, God, let me get up and shoot people. I was like, no, this is interesting because it's a good character moment.
Sure, I've unanimously heard from friends and critics that the best part of Red Dead Redemption 2 is when you build a house.
I haven't got to that stage yet.
Oh, well, apparently there's just a bit where you build a house, and it's great because it's like synced up to music and all the characters just being like, "Oh, hey, what's this?" Yeah.
No, like knowing what the game's like, that doesn't surprise me. That would be one of the best parts of the game.
Yeah,
but at the same time, then you get things where, like, in terms of the slice of life or the quality of life, I should say. Like, God, as soon as I'm trying to think about it, I'm just blanking about it. Oh, no, I'll give you a good example of some of the systems that are either archaic or just not well designed when you're going for this kind of realism. The dishonor system the honor system in this game is dog shit. It's terrible. So when I say honor system, this is basically the game's equivalent of a morality system. They had basically the same thing in Red Dead Redemption 1. In Red Dead Redemption 1, you actually had 2. You had fame and you had honor. Fame just went up throughout the game as you did more activities, and you unlocked bonuses as you gained more fame. They don't bother with that in this one. They just have honor. And you can either have positive honor, which is, you're generally good-ish despite being a criminal. A criminal with honor, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
Or dishonor, which is, you're a mass murdering, stealing, evil Satan spawn kind of thing.
So the difference between being just a rascal and a monster.
Yeah, kind of. But what counts towards honor and dishonor is super inconsistent and, to be honest, bullshit a lot of the time. Easy example. I generally tend to play with the game with honor. I like playing Arthur as he knows he's a bad man. He knows he's a criminal. He knows he's a scoundrel. But kind of going off some of the philosophy of the gang leader Dutch, he's not a complete, he sees someone begging on the side of the road, he's like, here's $1, go get yourself something to eat,
Yeah.
He kind of, because the gang leader Dutch sometimes spouts a philosophy of, we're taking from the corrupt, we're taking from the greedy, we're taking from the people who ruin this country, and I think I like playing Arthur as the kind of guy who tries to follow that to some extent by giving when he can, kind of thing. Call me bullshit if you want. I like it. But then there's a mission I did recently where you rob a post office or a coach station, something like that. And you go in. Now, so I say full on, we're robbing this place. It's, Arthur, Dutch, and Lenny, the 3 of the gang. We go into this place, masks on, guns raised, everyone down on the ground or we'll shoot you, Start emptying your wallets.
Yeah.
And Dutch goes over to the cashier to get him to open the safe. Lenny goes and checks one of the ones that's not guarded. And Dutch says, Arthur, you go to everyone here, take the money they're carrying. He's like, okay, cool. So you go up, I rob them, which is you hold your gun up to him, press a button, and Arthur goes, hand me over all your money. Now, that gives me dishonor. Because if you rob someone and threaten someone, that's dishonor.
And there's no way around that.
No, because this is how you continue this mission. The mission will not continue until they rob these people. I'm robbing the place, game. There's times earlier in the game where you rob, there's another stage earlier in the game where you rob a bank. I never individually rob a person in that mission. You lose no dishonor for that because it's a story mission. How does that make sense?
So it's a story mission that forces you to have dishonor.
Yes, but in my opinion, we're robbing this place. you know, I don't have a choice here. This is how the game goes. I'm robbing this place. Either give me dishonor for robbing the place in general, or don't. Don't give me dishonor because I'm pickpocketing the few people who happen to be in the place. That's stupid.
Yeah.
And another example is I rode into one of the main cities in the game, to Saint-Denis. When I was riding in, an event... There's a number of random events that can happen from them NPCs. One happened which I'd never seen before, and I was a bit slow to react, which was someone was like... Basically, a couple were getting mugged. And because I'd never seen this event, I was a bit slow to act. And the mugger shot one of them. I shoot him. And, you know, the last one's father, oh god, no, he's dead. What? But here's the thing. Because I didn't act fast enough, and one of them got shot, the game gave me dishonor for not acting on it.
So, would you still have gotten dishonor if you didn't shoot the mugger?
Yes! Because I got dishonor because he already shot someone. It's as soon as he shot someone, I got dishonor. I'm like, are you serious? Not intervening is dishonor? That's ridiculous. And I'm sure if I'd acted fast enough, it would have given me honor. But I'd never seen the event before. So, oh, and here's another really good one. This one really annoys me. If you're in a big shootout chase, I can shoot as many fuckers as I want, as long as they're not civilians, and not gain any dishonor. But if I shoot one of their horses to down the horse and get rid of that rider, I lose honor. I get dishonor because I shot the horse, not the rider.
Huh. Oh, that's just animal abuse.
Oh yeah, never mind the fact that I'm killing people left, right, and center.
Yeah, but
think of the horses.
Oh, think of the horses. Think of the horses. Yeah. It's one of those things that really, really annoys me because it's every time I'm reminded of how crap the system is. It's like, why? You know, it's not like morality systems are new in games. We're supposed to be beyond this point of these being finicky at this stage. Yeah. Or we're supposed to be on the point of having them even, potentially. A lot of, even games like even companies like BioWare and such are starting to lean away from having them as a hard, you're an angel, you're a devil. You know, they're trying to find a bit more of a middle ground because I'm not even a person who's necessarily directly opposed to a black-white morality scale in games. A lot of my favorite games have it. I still love Infamous. It may be a completely black and white style morality system, but I still love it.
It's more leaning on like typical comic book stuff, so it's kind of it makes sense within like its setting.
Yeah, I suppose.
So like in Infamous you get different powers depending on if you're good or evil.
Yes.
What are the like gameplay ramifications of honor and dishonor?
Good question. I'm not sure exactly what the ones you get for dishonor are because I've never gone full dishonor. I know if you do honor, you start to get discounts in all the stores in the game.
Okay.
Which is nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
You know, it's a good and there's certain thing. I know in Red Dead Redemption 1, if you got dishonor, you got discounts in like the one kind of outlaw camp that was in the game, and if you got full dishonor in the original one, you got a special horse.
A very special horse.
Yeah, a special horse.
How would you feel if someone shot that horse, Sam? You'd wish dishonor on them.
Dishonor on the cow.
On your whole family.
I've been sitting here for 15 minutes trying to work that joke.
Well, you fit it in eventually. Good for you. Yeah, I'm not completely opposed to the system being in the game. I just feel it's really, really poorly designed, and it's one of those things that takes you out of the realism then sometimes. Yeah. It takes you out of this marvelous realism. And then,
why don't these people like me? I'm robbing them.
And it doesn't help as well that then you have challenges in the game which will give you bonuses and perks if you complete them. But one of the challenge trees is Bandit. It's literally entirely based on doing crimes, which sometimes is annoying because some of them would just be so tedious. Like one rank which I find accidentally cheesed, and I'm really glad I did. There's one rank in Bandit where you have to rob $50 worth from people and travelers. That's, it's basically hold someone up, say, hand me over all your money, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, if you generally rob people that way, you're getting about less than $1 per person. So you're talking at me probably robbing at least 50 people and getting dishonor for every single one of them I rob, which is not really something I wanted to do. Now, I got lucky, because what happened is I went into a town, I walked into the inn, a guy bumped me as I was coming in and stole a portion of my money. Now, I was carrying a lot of money when he did this, so I ran down the bastard, caught him, and threatened him, like, give me my money back. And he did. Now, that did not count as dishonor because I was getting my money back. But it did count as robbing someone, and he robbed over $150 from me. So the challenge completed on the spot. I can see the cogs turning there.
Hold on. So you stole back that which was stolen from you.
Yes.
And it counted towards the
And it
mission.
counted towards the challenge.
So, could you realistically just went up to someone and say, "Here, hold this for a second." That counts.
If there was the function to do that in the game, it almost was a sense of, $150 in a wallet. Here, could you hold this, please? You give it to a person. Then I take out the gun. Now hand it over. Your money or your life.
Here's my money.
No, that money. The money I just gave you.
It's literally a scene in Blackadder. There's literally a scene in one of the series of Blackadder where Blackadder and Baldric become highwaymen, and so they steal from a few people, and Blackadder goes, "All right, Baldric, here's your share." "Oh, what? You mean I get like a cent and you get everything?" No, we were equal in this adventure. You get 50% of the earnings." "Oh, thank you very much, sir. However, I am now going to commit a new robbery. Hand it over, your money or your life." Baldric hands him the money. He's like, "There, see, it was completely fair. Fair enough, sir."
God damn it.
That's basically it.
I haven't played either of the Red Dead Redemption games because I didn't get my PS3 till like 2011 or 2012. So the first one was out a good while by then, and I had other stuff I wanted to catch up.
It was out probably about 2 years, I think. It was 2010.
I had other stuff I wanted to catch up on, and then with Red Dead Redemption 2, I was kind of like, oh, well, I haven't played the first, and I don't really have like the time sink to pick up Red Dead Redemption.
It is a hell of a time sink. Whenever I've been home since Christmas, I've played it almost non-stop, and according to the game, I'm only a little over 50% done.
Yeah.
There is a lot of game here.
There are loads of games that like, oh, I really want to play that, and even if I do have the time for it, I'm like, yeah, I might have 50 hours, but I don't want all of them to be on this.
No, I totally get what you mean.
One of them is like, I always see it really cheap, and I really want to get it. It's Gravity Rush 2. I know you have some issues on that.
I just
really love Gravity Rush 1.
I loved it too,
and it was a nice 15. It was a nice 15 to 20 hour game. I finished it in about a week or two. It was very nice, but then I hear that the second one is like 40 something hours, and I'm like,
I'm with you. And the Gravity Rush, I've played a bit of Gravity Rush 2, probably about, I want to say maybe 8 to 10 hours of it, and I like it, and it's really cool seeing like all the graphics fully realized on a PS4, especially since I have a PS4. I have a PS4 Pro, and it looks gorgeous.
Like I get the length was probably, we were on like PS Vita, and now we're on the PS4, so let's really take advantage and go all out.
But that doesn't necessarily, longer is not necessarily better.
Yeah.
And I think Gravity Rush 2 is a bit indicative of that. It's the progression feels slow in Gravity Rush 2. The pacing doesn't feel as good. And also, I've ranted again with you. I've ranted to a group chat you're in before that Gravity Rush 2 also has some functions that I just don't think work that well.
Yeah.
It has some stealth missions, and I just think the stealth is crap.
There were like 2 stealth missions in the original.
I didn't even remember those, and I loved Gravity Rush 1.
They were very short, like get to the end of the street without being spotted. Alright, I'll just fly like 50 feet in the air.
Yeah, that doesn't...
straight up.
Yeah, that doesn't work in this one, because there'll be like these flying cars about the place, and if they see you, that's just immediate fail.
Yeah, they were in the first one as well, but in that case, you're like, right, I'll just stay on the ground.
Yeah, I probably at some point will go back to Gravity Rush 2, but I'm on such a backlog of games these days that I've actually started... I used to always have the attitude, if I start a game, I'm going to finish it. I've dropped that.
Same with me.
I've dropped that attitude now. The game that made me drop that attitude wasn't actually Gravity Rush 2. It was actually Neo.
Oh.
I started playing Neo, I think about September, because it was not long after I moved into my current flat. And so when I moved my PS4 into my flat, I started playing Neo. Because I love the Souls series. Dark Souls 3 is in my top 10 favorite games of all time. Bloodborne is my favorite game of all time. I absolutely adore those style of games. So Neo, I was like, right, let's go. Samurai Souls, this will be freaking awesome. And I just couldn't get into it. I tried, and something about the feel of the combat just felt weirdly clunky for how fast the game was. So I eventually hit a point where... I had moments where it was really cool, but it wasn't enough. I eventually hit a point where it's just like, I'm going to go mad trying to finish this game, because like any Souls, you're talking a good 70-hour long game on a first playthrough.
I'm trying...
And it wasn't even a boss necessarily. Overall, I was beating the bosses one by one. It was literally, I just hit a point where I was like about to do the next stage, and just like, I don't want to, though.
Yeah,
why should I do it if I don't want to? So I stopped playing. Let's move on to something else.
I'm trying to think of games I've done that for, because there were some where, like, I'd play them and then just say, I'd be having a good time and then just, like, get distracted or something else come up. Like, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. That's a great game. I just haven't finished it yet because one day I was playing it and then just said, right, put it down, I'll start that up again tomorrow, and then I didn't, and then it just kept going on, and then something else came out and I was like, ooh.
We've all had games like that. I mean, hell, even Smash Bros. Ultimate was been like that for me a bit recently, because I know you had a bit of a funny reaction when I started talking about World of Light in the chat the other day, and you're like, you haven't finished it?
Yeah.
Because I've had it since Christmas, and you finished it ages ago. But the reason I hadn't finished it was because if I was at home, I was probably playing Red Dead, and then for the last several weeks, in terms of playing on my Switch, because I'm completely insane, decided, you know what? I'm going to get Shiny Mewtwo and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I did. It took me nearly 2 weeks, but I did it.
You're a masochist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was playing, I think it was Pokemon X when that first came out. Me and my friend were playing that together, like, over Skype. Like, I was playing mine, he was playing his. And at one point, I was just like to him, alright, beat the second gym. And he just goes, ah. I go, you a bit further back? Kinda. And okay. And then I kept playing, and eventually I just said, alright, fuck it, just fuck it. I'm like, what's wrong? I'm not gonna get this fucking shiny Froakie, it's just not gonna work.
Oh, bless him.
I was like, dude, it's been 3 hours. How are you still there? I thought you tried it like twice. And he's like, no.
Oh no. If you're gonna soft reset for a shiny starter, you're gonna be at it for a while unless you're very lucky. I've considered doing that a few times. I never have, but you know what? I've tasted blood now that I've shiny reset for a Mewtwo. Someday I'm going to do it for a starter now.
Oh.
Would it not be better to just get a female starter and just kind of
just take that and say, there's my luck.
No, like breed them until you eventually get that one.
You can do that as well. It depends, because there is an element of. There is ways, of course, to use breeding to really increase the chances of getting a shiny, but hatching eggs is a much slower process than soft resetting the starter. You know, so there's that balance as well.
Yeah. To briefly go on to that while we were talking about Pokemon starters, I think in Gen 8, what would be a nice change of pace is if they change the starters to not be grass, fire, water.
I don't think they're going to do that.
They won't do it. But I think it'd be nice to just turn on the game and be like, ooh, go Psychic and Dark. That's pretty cool.
It would.
They've been touching on that with like the
Gen 6.
Gen 6 is that really weird one. It's like
2 generations.
Gen 6 is that weird one of like, oh, you picked the water starter. Okay, well now you get this grass monkey. Like, okay.
Cool. Oh no!
Cool.
No! You're thinking.
Oh no, Gen 5.
That's Gen 5. No, what Gen 6 had two things in a sense. Gen 6 had at least X and Y, not Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. In Gen 6, you had you got to then pick one of the Kanto starters once you got to the first big city, which was really cool. But the other thing they had, and I really liked this in Gen 6, was the subtype of each starter also had its own rock paper scissors, but it was different from the water fire grass. Because let me see if I can remember it right. Chespin becomes grass fighting.
Yeah.
So that means the final form. So that means obviously that. Hang on, I'm trying to. Okay, no, sorry. This is the thing I always mix myself up on. Their secondary had a triangle as well, but the triangle was still the same, I believe, because Froakie's final form is water dark, and Fennekin's final form is fire psychic. So water is super effective against fire, and dark is effective against psychic. It would have been much cooler if you did something that went the other way around. Actually, Gen 4 did something like that. Because in Gen 4, Torterra, the last form of the grass one, is grass ground.
Yeah.
And Infernape was fire fighting. So Infernape's still super effective on the fire versus grass, but ground super effective against fire. So you had that aspect. Same thing goes with Infernape and Empoleon. Empoleon was water steel, and so water still super effective against fire, but fighting was super effective against steel. I'd love to see more things like that.
I loved how that worked. Torterra is actually my favorite Pokemon.
I always flip flop on what my absolute favorite Pokemon is. Actually, no, I don't. I generally say my favorite Pokemon now is Alolan Ninetales, but my favorite starter is generally Greninja. I love Greninja.
I went with Chespin when I played Gen 6.
Chespin's cool. I like Greninja a lot because Gen 6 was a gen where I got into competitive Pokemon, and Greninja is an absolute beast in competitive Pokemon. If you get his hidden ability, it makes him he's just insane, because Greninja's hidden ability is his type changes to match the last attack he used. So that means you take this thing. That means every attack he uses gets same type attack bonus, which makes him absurdly strong. It also means, despite the fact his defenses are, complete crap, he could still potentially take a hit if you're clever and use his type advantage to, right, you know what type of attack's coming in, use an attack that's going to change you to a type that it's weak against. So it gave him more survivability as well. Greninja was just a monster in competitive. It's one of the big reasons I got into competitive, was just because I thought, right, I'm gonna breed a really strong Greninja, and then suddenly it's like, my God, this thing's an absolute beast. So, beast. So in terms of, is there any other sort of gaming stuff you've been into in the last couple of weeks?
Nothing particularly.
I haven't gotten anything new in the last while. I've been revisiting a few things.
Yeah, I like to buy games when they are brand new, like day one when they come out, and then
I tend to as well.
In between them, I just go back and play all the ones. Like I'm playing Spyro at the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm buying Life is Strange when I'm done with that.
I'll be curious to talk with you when you're done with that, because I've never played Life is Strange, but I love talking to people who've played it.
See, here's my thing with Life is Strange though: is I never played it because the very first thing I ever heard about Life is Strange is the final choice you make.
Same here.
So I was like, oh well, yeah. I don't really want to play this game now that the only thing I know about it is how it ends.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm kind of similar.
But I've heard
there's stuff in there.
Yeah, I've heard people say depending on the choices you make early on in the game, you'll take different paths that might influence what decision you want to make. And I was like, okay,
that is a cool idea.
And that is a cool idea. Yeah, and I still even though we always take the piss out of it, I still love Heavy Rain.
Oh, same here.
Yeah. And
for all the faults of David Cage and Quantic Dream, I still love Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain is great.
It's full of emotion.
I never played Beyond Two Souls, but I watched a playthrough of it, and it looked very disjointed.
It's meh. I call Beyond Two Souls the ultimate meh.
And Indigo Prophecy is just bad. We played that together.
We did.
It's funny bad.
No, we couldn't finish it.
We had a really bad time playing it a while ago. We played at a friend's house. Here's the thing, though. I got that at a stand at the last con I went to in Galway, so I might end up playing it at some stage to see if I can finish it.
Oh boy. And what was the other one? Detroit. I haven't played Detroit yet. I do want to.
I don't know if I'm going to bother to at this point.
See what?
If you get it, I'd love to come over and play it with you.
Detroit?
Cool. I've had so many talks with people about it, and just how...
So has my sister. My sister's talked a lot with people about it.
Just how much it doesn't work.
Yeah, my sister...
I've heard two of the scenarios that don't work. There's one of them that's really good, and it's only because David Cage didn't have a lot of input in it, because they added it.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say, it's a game that speaks about racism, but robots aren't a race.
No.
It's more. It's a game a game.
They once said, no, it's not about racism, and then another time they said, oh no, yeah, it is about racism. I don't even think they know what they're talking about.
It's very clearly an allegory for racism, but it's got the subtlety of an anvil.
Yeah.
For not going into complete spoilers, minor spoiler warning, that if you take a certain route in the game, you go into an android concentration camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's...
Or just an android dump.
Yeah.
I mean, the symbology of the actual androids, they've got, symbols on their shirts, on their shoulders, that I think they've been equated to the marks that the Nazis made the Jews have to wear to identify themselves. So
it's something
they're not very subtle about it.
No, it's something that for a lot of people is deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and when he uses it and the symbology and all that stuff, it's with the grace and subtlety of David Cage. Yeah. It just comes off as you don't understand what you're talking about. Why did you think this was a good idea again?
What David Cage needs is more tutorials where he is physically there telling you what to do, like in Indigo Prophecy. Jesus. I hope you enjoy my great game. Very good.
Oh my God. In In terms of games I've been revisiting a bit recently, I didn't even plan to because I still need to finish World of Light and Smash, but I started seeing some videos on YouTube of it and it got me really wanting to go back and finish parts that I never finished. I've been playing a bit of Hollow Knight again. The game that I will get you to play, Dan.
I'm gonna play it someday.
I'm gonna get you to play it.
It's pretty.
I just need to be in the mood for a Metroidvania.
Have you ever played Hollow Knight, Rob?
No. I've watched people and I can appreciate that it is a very well made and very pretty game.
Yeah.
It is really pretty.
It's really pretty. I just, as soon as I asked you that, I'm almost starting to even message you. It was chatting with you and Andrew in a group where all three of us are in, and like neither of you two would probably be. I don't think either of you two would consider yourself that big a fan of Metroidvania style games. I know Andrew's not. No.
Yeah, I'm not overly Metroidvania either. I like the Shantae games, but they're kind of more straightforward than here's a world, find out where to go.
In general, I really enjoy Metroidvania games. I started playing the Metroid games when I got them on my Wii Virtual Console back in the day. With that was just Super Metroid actually, and then I got the GBA games and I love those. Then I got into the Igarashi Castlevania games like Symphony of the Night and so forth, and I adore those games. I absolutely love them to pieces.
Why is Symphony of the Night only on the PS3, PSN, not the PS4 one?
Because PS4 has the Rondo of Blood collection now.
But I don't want that.
Well, tough. That's how it works. But
if there's one thing you've ever convinced me, it's I don't need to play Rondo of Blood.
Well, here's the thing. Bear in mind, should I get into this now? Just bear in mind, I am the stark majority on that. Which, yes, I'm going to state this now and for the record. As far as I'm concerned, Castlevania Rondo of Blood is the worst Castlevania game that has ever been made. It's absolutely terrible. Why do people love it so much?
Even worse than Simon's Quest.
I have to look this up now.
I've never played Simon's Quest, but I'd be more interested in playing Simon's Quest than trying to play Rondo of Blood again.
Right, well, we've had a good run on this podcast.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Like, have you not seen was it Castlevania 64?
Oh,
I've never. Okay. I'm being a bit. I'm being a bit hyperbolic. It's the worst Castlevania game that I have played.
Watch the AVGN episode.
Dude, his Castlevania retrospective is how I got into AVGN. I love his Castlevania retrospective. To go back to Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight, for anyone who doesn't know, is it is a Metroidvania style game. It's going through a very large 2D map with lots of shortcuts and routes back to other places, getting power-ups to advance into new areas. However, Hollow Knight is not full-on Metroidvania, in my opinion. It is to bridge so many genres together, it is a Metroidvania Souls-like. It actually incorporates a lot of things from Dark Souls, in terms of there's roguelite elements in the sense of if you die, you lose all your currency you're currently carrying and have to go get it. You have one more chance to go get it unless you die again. There's save points which are equivalent of bonfires or benches in this game. Not to say this makes it necessarily good, because that's not a good argument, but Hollow Knight out of Lost Stages is fucking hard.
It's the Dark Souls of Metroidvania.
It kind of is, and in my opinion it's the best 2D equivalent of a Souls-like ever made, because I adore Hollow Knight. It captures so well that essence of, because one of the things I love so much about Bloodborne and to a lesser extent Dark Souls is, you come up against a challenge and the euphoria and adrenaline rush you feel when you finally overcome that challenge. No game has matched that for me, but Hollow Knight has come damn close with some of its bosses. And now when I was revisiting, I've already beaten the main story in my Switch game, so I was doing some of the DLC stuff I'd never done. So the first one I've done, and I'm going to go back and probably do some more later today, but the first one I've done is one of the first DLCs I think they released was the Grim Troop DLC, which is basically where you get this circus to come into the main hub area, and the main leader sends you on this quest of collecting certain phantoms throughout the map to power up something, and when you finish, you fight the leader of the troop called Grim, who's Hollow Knight, for anyone who doesn't know, everything that's in Hollow Knight, the idea is you're bugs. Everything in this world is bugs, so a lot of things are shrunk down, or all the designs of the characters, not all of them necessarily, because there's weird lore stuff, but a lot of things tend to look like certain types of bugs. But Grim doesn't look like a bug, he actually looks more like a bat, and he's very much supposed to be like Dracula. A lot of, when you fight him in the ritual that you do with him, a lot of his attacks are even very reminiscent of Dracula from Castlevania. Like, he'll lift up his cloak and these little things will come shooting out at you, like Dracula's fireballs and things like that. It's really cool. And Grim is balls hard, but Last thing I did before I went on a hiatus from Hollow Knight was I beat Grimm. So I beat Grimm, took a break, came back and was like, okay, time to clear a big hurdle, because what's considered one of, not the, because Jesus, but one of the hardest bosses in Hollow Knight is Nightmare King Grimm. Basically, after you beat him, there's one of two things you can do. You can either go to a different NPC to cause the troop to leave town, or you can go into the main tent, where you'll find Grimm sleeping. And in Hollow Knight, you gain the ability to access the dreams of other characters. If you go into Grimm's dreams, you awaken Nightmare King Grimm, who is Grimm on speed. He is faster, he is stronger, all his attacks do double damage that his previous version does, and he has a fuck ton of health. So he is a bastard. I am a very reckless player when I play Hollow Knight. I tend to go just balls in, trying to do as much damage as possible. Essentially, I'm going to kill you before you kill me. I don't take much I don't avoid attacks as much as I should. If you do that with Nightmare King Grimm, he'll kill you again and again and again and again. It is one of the first times I've really had to just go, okay, no, I have to just learn his patterns, learn when I need to dodge and what way I need to dodge, and then just get those 2 hits I can get and then back off again. But my God, when I finally beat him, there's nothing much better than that thrill. It really was a fantastic experience.
So you literally sneak into this guy's bedroom and you ruin his dreams.
Yeah, basically.
You're an asshole. Stop bugging him.
So about you, Rob, what have you been playing?
Actually, yeah, I'm curious what you've been playing, because I'm not sure what you've been up to recently.
I don't play video games.
Those are lies. Mostly been getting back into Overwatch begrudgingly.
No, Rob.
I don't spend money on it anymore.
You've beaten that bug, have you? More in terms of Overwatch.
The bug you should be beating is the Nightmare King.
Yeah, exactly.
In Hollow Knight.
He's a bat.
That's true. He is a bat.
Oh.
And I've been observing my brother as he plays through Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh yes, I think we'll make this our last topic then. Tell us, because I have. Okay, let's first just do this. While I think Kingdom Hearts looks interesting, and I am a Disney nut job, I have never played any of the Kingdom Hearts games. What about you, Dan?
I am the same as you, massive Disney nut. Never played or had any interest in Final Fantasy.
No, I've never been a Final Fantasy thing either.
And I got the land of the first one off someone 3 or 4 years ago, and I just did not like it. I played the opening world. I'm trying to think how far I got into it. I definitely did the Alice in Wonderland world, which I just hated because it was so awkward to navigate and get around. Everything looked the same, and I could never tell where I was or where I was going. Twilight Town, is it Twilight Town or Traverse Town in the first one?
Traverse Town.
Traverse Town. So what you're to do in that town is go to a shop and talk to Sid from Final Fantasy VI, and he'll tell you about gummy ships or give you some sort of side mission. I looked around for an hour and a half because I couldn't find them anywhere, and then I looked up online and said, right, where the fuck am I to go? I shouldn't be having this about an hour in. Turns out that the PS3 version had a bit of a weird glitch where there were times where Sid just wouldn't spawn.
Oh, good.
So I reset the console, turned it back on, and then he was there. And she's like, no, I don't even want to play it anymore. I just don't. I went back to it later to go further in and give it another chance, but I just don't care about the story. Sora is a bit of a whiny little bitch. I like Goofy. I can't understand what the fuck Donald is saying.
Oh, that's part of the charm.
That is part of the charm, but that's fine when he's just saying something like "Let me at him" or "Come here," and not just say "The darkness in your heart will release the darkness."
I can't do a Donald Duck impression.
There
you go.
See, I'm not one of those people that think oh, Kingdom Hearts has a really complicated story, so that's why I don't want to play it. But once you play it, it's actually very easy to follow, and you'll know where everything goes. I just don't want to follow the story because the story looks fucking shit. Alright? The writing is terrible. Everything is awful. I remember once I had a conversation with someone who said their favorite game of all time was Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2 on the DS. Wildly considered the worst one. Why was it their favourite, you ask? Because they cried whenever Roxas got ice cream, and then when someone died, I don't know who, I don't care who, when they died, Roxas's reaction is, who am I going to eat ice cream with? Which is unanimously considered online a meme-worthy, so shit line. But this person said, oh, I cried at that because all Roxas knew how to do with his friends was eat ice cream. So now, since he can't do that, he doesn't know what to do with his friends. And I said, if his only fucking thing that he had in common with any of his friends was that they liked ice cream, they weren't very good friends.
Okay.
You're not wrong.
So, Rob, what about Kingdom Hearts 3?
It's a Kingdom Hearts game.
From the footage I've seen of Kingdom Hearts 3, they changed Mickey's voice actor and he does not sound great.
Well, I mean,
that's because the original guy is not with us anymore.
I was going to say, I'm
pretty
sure that's because he's old.
This guy definitely just sounds like a guy that is doing a Mickey Mouse impression.
Yeah, I think it's like they have two guys currently doing Mickey Mouse.
Yeah,
one is in the cartoons, and then there's this guy.
There was a similar complaint made by one of the hosts on the Co-optional podcast when I was listening to it earlier, in terms of Mickey's voice. But, yeah, so there's where me and Dan stand on Kingdom Hearts. So I know you've at least played some of the old ones as well, and you were telling me earlier you've watched the likes of like Team 4-Star play a shit ton of them and watched like video analysis of them. So
like I'm sure the games are fine. Like,
oh no,
and I should say visually they're great.
Visually they're gorgeous, and I will say
the soundtracks are beautiful.
Yeah, and I will say I want to try them out at some point because I'm the same as you. Is like one of the reasons I haven't checked them out is not because of the story. Look, Metal Gear Solid is one of, if not my favorite video game franchise of all time. I have no right to say that I'm not going to get into something because the story's convoluted.
If I don't want to follow the story, I can just skip cutscenes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just more like, the combat just isn't for me, really. I can acknowledge it's a well-built, well-done combat system, just it doesn't click with me.
Sure.
And that's fine.
That's fair.
And traversing the world is just kind of meh. And as someone that was in it for the Disney stuff, I don't like that the Disney stuff ultimately doesn't matter whatsoever.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's mostly just window dressing most of the time.
Yeah.
Which personally I'm fine with, but so I'm because I want us to finish up fairly soon. I'm gonna speed on Rob to talking a bit about Kingdom Hearts 3 because I will say I follow enough people who've been playing it, and as I was telling you earlier, the general reception is a bit weird in terms of what people seem to be thinking of it. So what's your 2 cents on the game then?
Well, just again.
From what
spoilers, just
sure, like
sure,
okay, yeah.
Like, you're not going to want to know this. Technically.
Yeah, spoilers. If you actually give a shit about the story of Kingdom Hearts enough to care.
Right. Okay. Kingdom Hearts 3 does a lot right for the fans, but again, it doesn't feel like as if Nomura had full control of it. Because, yes, we get the whole ending of the Secret of Darkness saga. Xehanort kicks the bucket, blah, blah, blah. Kingdom Hearts is finally revealed as a thing, and then quickly pushed aside.
Wasn't it already revealed? The first game to be a door?
No, because that... you know what, I think we should save that kind of talk for maybe another time.
Maybe we'll actually have just a whole episode on the phenomenon of Kingdom Hearts at some stage.
For a good thing on that, Barry on YouTube, Barry is streaming.
Barry is streaming, or Barry Kramer.
He used to be the editor for Game Grumps, had a 7-hour live stream of his friend explaining the Kingdom Hearts series to him.
7 hours.
And then he made a 30-minute animated thing of him trying to explain as best he could what he took. Yeah. Which is hilarious. At the very start, he's just like, alright, so here's some disclaimers. Any factual errors go send them to this guy. I don't know a lot about Disney. I never played Final Fantasy. Mickey, take the wheel!
But, yeah. For a game series that has basically been Nomura flying by the seat of his pants at every single sequel, it ended okay. I really don't know why they had to include the stuff from the mobile games, because
every Kingdom Hearts game has to matter.
Because in the end, it doesn't really factor into this whole story. Like, literally, just, these characters, they're kind of related to something that's in the mobile game. And they hint at one point that you're going to reveal the big secret of the old Keyblade War. It's never brought up again. They literally say nothing else about it. only thing that's like even remotely important to know before going into Kingdom Hearts 3 from that whole thing is the back cover movie, where Master of Masters, blah blah blah, tells his whole thing to his apprentices, and then the one guy he gives a box to and his key, and he sends him off to go and do his thing. That guy's identity is revealed, and he is a character that has been in it since Kingdom Hearts 2. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2, basically. And it's all just sequel bait, because you won't know what the villains are looking for when they're talking about this black box, because it's the black box from the back cover movie.
Okay.
All right.
It's like they resolved the whole Xehanort thing. It's kind of weak, but okay. It's like, I guess you had to redeem him somehow.
Did you really? All I know about Xehanort is that he looks evil.
Oh yeah, he's an evil-looking motherfucker.
All I know about Xehanort is he pulls a Voldemort by splitting himself into multiple pieces.
13, in fact.
13.
Yes.
Wait, he's the entirety of Organization 13?
No, because I've heard about this. Isn't it that there's 2 Organization 13s?
There was the original one that has all the people in the black cloaks, and then the new one in this game, where they recycle the majority of the original one, and then they throw in Ansem the Heartless, Replica Riku, young Xehanort from Dream Drop Distance, and Master Xehanort from Birth by Sleep.
I'd almost swear to God that if I didn't know that these were actual things and the thing you're referencing, I'd swear you were like reading the script of a Pro ZD video on Kingdom Hearts or something like that.
What are these names? Riku, Xehanort.
Well, Riku has a meaning. It relates to Earth because he is strong and powerful and soars the sky.
Okay, no, now you are just doing a Pro ZD video.
It's true. Yeah.
It may be true. It doesn't change the fact that that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, it's an ending to that story. Sora's current condition is in question. And then there's like this secret ending you get if you take a picture of all the secret Mickey symbols throughout all the worlds. And,
but they matter towards an ending?
Yes.
Isn't there like 70 of them?
Yeah.
Oh.
And you have to get a minimum amount of them to see this secret ending that relates to...
Please tell me it's 69.
Oh. Quite
sorry.
But it relates to this thing that was shown in the Toy Story world, of all things, where it's like they explain how Sora looks like a toy in the Toy Story world by him basically taking on the form of a character from this game called Verum Rex, which looks a lot like Tetsuya Nomura's original designs for for Final Fantasy 15. That's the one, isn't it? With that's on PS.
This is the most recent one, yeah.
It's the most recent one, yeah.
I just can't remember.
No,
There's so many of them.
There is a lot of them.
But yeah,
There's over 15 of them.
Yeah, way over 15, really.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But yeah, the whole Verum Rex thing, and it shows Sora and Riku in what looks like Shibuya.
Okay.
But with the Verum Rex characters around, and then also a guy in the black cloak, which is either the Master of Masters or the Master's Apprentice. And I guess it's sequel bait for the next arc, series, DLC. I don't know.
So you do think this is not the end of Kingdom Hearts? There's going to be more.
Oh, fuck no. Squeenix isn't going to let this thing go, and Disney's not going to let them get rid of this marketing thing.
Why not? They want EA to make all their games. We were discussing that earlier.
Yeah. If Sora's so great, why is it
They're
Disneyland?
Star Wars games.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, you're right. That was just Star Wars.
If Sora's so great, why isn't he at Disneyland?
Don't spit out your water, please.
So on the ending of Kingdom Hearts 3, ending of the podcast.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to leave off for this week. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. If you have any thoughts about other things you'd like us to discuss or things you think we can improve, please let us know. We'd love to hear it.
If you got a name suggestion, that'd be nice.
Actually, yes, because we're currently operating under the Potential Podcast.
Just call it the Big PP.
The big PP. Maybe we will, because for the moment, this has been the Potential Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a lovely day. From me, that's goodbye.
See you next week.
All right.